Hello everyone, this is MAT 0018, section 2.8, and we're going to look at starting to solve some general types of equations. So today the equations will be of the form AX plus B equals C. Now the only variable in that format is X, so A, B, and C are all going to be numbers. So to solve this equation, main thing you want to remember is that your goal is always the same with every equation in this chapter, and that is to get a variable equal to a constant. So when we're solving AX plus B equals C, the first thing you want to do is if you have any like terms on each side of the equation, you want to go ahead and combine those. So if you have those, go ahead and combine those first if that's possible. Then the goal is to remember, get the X all by itself. That's the goal. Oops, what have we got going on here? Let me get my pen. Sorry about that. We want to get that X to be all by itself. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to get rid of that constant, that B term. So you add the opposite. So if it's addition, you use subtraction. If it's subtraction, you use addition to get rid of that B. That's your first step. And then you simplify. After you simplify, you're going to be back to the type of equations that we just solved back in section 2.7 in the previous section. So at that point, you divide by the coefficient A to get your final answer. When you simplify that last time, you'll be down to X equals and some number. So you'll be done. The key to solving these equations is the steps for these problems, 1 through 5, have to be done in this order. In other words, you can't divide at the beginning. You have to do the addition and subtraction step first to get rid of the constant, and then divide at the end to get rid of the coefficient. So these steps must be done in this order very specifically. All right, so let's look at some problems. So number 1, we have negative 2x plus 9 equals 5. So you've got your x term, negative 2x. Don't mess with that. You're not messing with that at all yet. You want to get rid of the constant, the 9. So you're trying to get everything away from the x. So first we're going to subtract 9 on both sides of the equal sign. So what comes down is negative 2x comes down. Now look at the 9's. 9 and negative 9, those are gone. They cancel. Equals 5 and negative 9, you have to subtract there and keep the sign of the bigger number, which would give you negative 4. So now in that one step, we're right back to the equations that we just did in 2.7. So see, now it's multiplication between the negative 2 and the x. So I need to divide by negative 2 on both sides. Those 2's, the negative 2's cancel, and I get x equals negative 4 divided by negative 2 would be 2. So there's your solution. Now look at number 2. 4y plus 15 equals 15. So don't worry about the 4y. That's the variable term, but you're not messing with it. You're going to get rid of that 15. So subtract the 15 from both sides. So 4y is going to come down. The 15's on the left side cancel out. Equals, and this is where you have to be careful, 15 minus 15 is 0. You have to write that 0 because otherwise you don't have another side to your equation, and you have to have two sides to your equation at all times. So that's the whole idea there. Now we still need to get rid of the 4, so since that's multiplication between the 4 and the y, we're going to divide by 4 on both sides, and y is going to equal 0. There you go. Now, let's look at number 3. 7 minus 9a equals 4. So here our variable term is that negative 9a. So we need to get rid of the 7, and this is where so many people mess up. They look at the minus sign and think that that goes with the 7, and it doesn't. That is a positive 7. So to get rid of it, I need to subtract it. I need to use a negative 7. So 7 and negative 7 cancel. Now, what comes down is a negative 9a. So be careful about bringing down that negative sign. And on the other side, we have equals negative 3. When we look at 4 and negative 7, you have to subtract there. Now, you're trying to get rid of the coefficient, negative 9. So you divide by negative 9 on both sides. Since the 3 is on top here, you're going to end up with a fraction. So the 9's canceled and we get A. And remember, whenever you have two negatives on top of a fraction like that, you always have to simplify that to be a positive. Anytime, it's basically like you're dividing, even though you're not dividing the numbers, you're dividing the signs. And a negative divided by a negative would be a positive. So I'm just going to write the sign there. You don't have to. It's understood to be positive. Now, 3 over 9, we can reduce the top and the bottom by 3, and that will give us a positive 1/3. All right, now let's look at number 4. 2x minus 5 equals negative 11. So don't mess with the 2x, get rid of that negative 5. So we're going to add 5 to both sides. So 2x comes down, the 5's are gone. Negative 11 plus 5, you have to subtract, keep the bigger sign. That's going to be negative 6. Now you're right back to the previous section, so we divide by 2 on both sides. The 2's cancel and x equals negative 3. All right, let's see what's next. So here we have some more to practice on. On number 5, 2x minus 3 equals 15. There's your 2x term, leave that alone. So we need to get rid of the negative 3. So we're going to add 3 to both sides. So 2x is going to come down, the 3's cancel, and 15 plus 3 is 18. Okay, now remember, multiplication here with the 2 and the x, so we have to divide to get rid of it. Divide by 2, the 2's cancel, and x equals 9. 18 divided by 2. Okay. On number 6, we have 9 minus 4w equals negative 3. So the first thing I need to do is get rid of this 9, because there's the negative 4w. Don't mess with that. So I'm going to subtract 9 from both sides. So it's really important that you write down the signs of what you're doing so you can see what the rules are going to be for the signs. Be careful, make sure you bring down negative 4w, and negative 3 and negative 9, remember you add and keep the sign, so that would be negative 12. Now, to get rid of that negative 4, we're going to have to use division. Divide by negative 4. So the 4's cancel, the negative 4's cancel, and w equals positive 3. All right, let's look at number 7. Now, look at the left side of this equation. You've got some like terms here. You've got 5y and 2y. They're on the same side of the equal sign, and they're both positive because you have a positive 5y plus 2y. So you're going to combine those to get 7y plus 9 equals 23. That's what we're going to solve. Okay, so that was our first step, was to combine those like terms. Now I want to get rid of the 9, so I'm going to subtract 9 from both sides. So 7y comes down, the 9's have canceled, and then 23 minus 9 gives me 14. And your last step, divide by 7 on both sides. So the 7's cancel and y equals positive 2. All right, let's look at number 8. We have 22 equals negative 3c plus 10. So don't mess with the negative 3. That's with the variable. So we're going to get rid of that 10. So first, subtract 10 from both sides. So that's going to give me 12 equals negative 3c. That comes down. 10's are canceled. So now you need to get rid of that coefficient, negative 3. So we're going to divide by negative 3 on both sides. So the negative 3's cancel. So c comes down, and it equals 12 divided by negative 3 is going to give me negative 4. All right, so pause the video and try these problems on your own, and then you can start it up again and see how you did. Number 1, under you try, 7x plus 3 equals 3. So my first step is to get rid of that constant 3 that's on the same side with the 7x. So I'm going to subtract it from both sides. So 7x comes down, the 3's cancel, but on the other side they cancel, but you have to write the 0 because that's the other side of your equation. And now 7 times x, so I have to divide by 7 to get rid of that coefficient. The 7's cancel, and x equals 0. All right, number 2. Negative 8x plus 3 equals negative 29. So the first thing I need to do is get rid of the 3. So since it's addition, I'm going to use subtraction. And negative 8x comes down. And the 3's cancel. Negative 29 and negative 3 is negative 32 because you add and keep the sign. Now divide by negative 8 on both sides. So the negative 8's cancel. And two negatives when you divide, negative 32 divided by negative 8 is going to give you a positive 4. All right, number 3. Here's our variable term, 4n, over on the right-hand side. So don't mess with that, but get rid of that constant. Get rid of the 15. So I'm going to subtract 15 from both sides of the equal sign. Okay, 11 and negative 15 gives me negative 4. And then the equals comes down. The 15's are gone, and we have 4n comes down. Now, to get rid of that coefficient, divide by 4, because you have to use the same sign as the coefficient. So the 4's cancel, and we have n. And on the other side, negative 4 divided by 4 gives me negative 1. All right, number 4, 9 minus 4x equals 6. So, first step, don't mess with the negative 4x. Get rid of that 9. Subtract 9 from both sides. So the 9's are gone. We have negative 4x equals 6, and negative 9 gives me negative 3. So now you need to get rid of that coefficient. So divide by negative 4 on both sides. And the negative 4's cancel. Now remember, we just talked about this maybe in the last section or maybe even in this section. Two negatives on a fraction, you're always going to simplify that to be a positive. So that's just going to be a positive 3/4. And I'm pretty sure this is the last one. Yay! So on number 5, you've got some like terms here, 6a and 2a. They're on the same side of the equal sign. So you combine those. 6 plus 2 would be 8a plus 3, bring down that constant, equals 11. Okay? So now, don't mess with the 8, get rid of the 3. Subtract 3 from both sides. So 8a comes down, and it equals 11 minus 3 would be 8. And now your last step, you need to use division to divide by the coefficient, divide by 8. So that those 8's cancel, and a equals 1. Okay? And I think that's it for section 2.8.